Bridget, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to go live right now, actually. So if you can find the private chat and just hit a note in there, Steve, if you want to just have a little private conversation with her in the chat, I'm going to get the show going. LinkedIn, we are going to fire up your Monday
with Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
I am Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
Over the next hour of this Master Connection series, we will take a deep dive into the different ways to connect and network effectively.
See us and hear us right now. So LinkedIn, we are on here. We're getting ready.
Hear from experts along with Steve Spiro, who went from being shy and introverted to the Master Connector.
All right, LinkedIn, you know what it is. Here we are. I want you to tell us where you are viewing from. Let me get my face to pop up here. Here we go. I got all our folks here. I'm going to go mid-screen here and just let you know, hey, guys, we want you to let us know where you're viewing from. This is a big deal. It's always nice, whether you're tuning in for the first time or for the 20th time. We love knowing where you are viewing from. So let us know where you're viewing from. Comment, hit those emojis, the thumbs up, the hands clap, the emotion, the support, the heart, the curious, the light bulb. We want to see it all. We're looking forward to doing this show with you, and you make this show better and awesome. Here we go. We're going to jump into it. I'm going to introduce my main man, Steve Spiro. Here we go. All right. So we have Mr. Steve Spiro. He is a martial arts black belt and a master networker. He has moved from being a shy, introverted kid to the master connector he is today. Steve Spiro began his business career by starting an advertising company in NYC. He had an incredibly fulfilling career and experience in advertising and marketing, but eventually pivoted to the technology industry. Today, Steve is a business automation consultant with Quadient, where he helps companies streamline and automate how they communicate and connect with their customers, leveraging artificial intelligence with both hardware and software. Steve Spiro believes in the power of mentorship, growing oneself through self-development and continuing to create meaningful connections through building a large network. Welcome to the stage, the master connector himself, Mr. Steve Spiro.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Cameron, doing all the magic you do behind the curtain there as the Wizard of Oz of the show here. Appreciate that. Hey, folks, it's Steve Spiro, the master connector, coming at you live and direct here. Cameron and I really appreciate you tuning in. We are here every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We come at you with engaging content on how you too can be a master connector. During this Master Connection series each week, our goal is to gather subject matter experts to impart their wisdom on us. Welcome to the show. I am blessed to have my co-host, as I mentioned, Cameron Toth. Cameron is the host and founder of Biz Dev Live. Cameron founded Toth Event Staffing in 2011. Toth Event Staffing is a hospitality company providing staff to caterers, cafeterias, and catering departments in Westchester, New York, and New York City. Biz Dev Live was founded in 2020 and is a weekly show that airs on multiple platforms, including right here on LinkedIn Live, Mondays through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to tune in for sure. Biz Dev Live takes Cameron's entrepreneurship experience and combines it with his passion for helping young people and business-minded professionals. Cameron Toth's mission in life is increasing access to education and opportunity for all people. So please bring back to the forefront here, my man, the Wizard of Oz, my partner in crime, Mr. Cameron Toth.
Thank you, Steve. I want to shout out all our folks tuning in. We got Mama Spiro checking in from Poughkeepsie. We got Susan Knoll, not a stranger to the show. Thanks for checking in. St. Louis, Missouri in the house. We got Leslie Martinez, Houston, Texas. Thanks for checking in. We always got a great Texas group of folks checking in. Thanks for being here. And we got Tammy Doucette from Troy, New York. Tammy, thanks so much for joining us. We're looking forward to this amazing show. Without further ado, we're going to take the leap into entrepreneurship. This is a conversation I really want to get into. So we're going to go in alphabetical order here. We're going to go over to my man, Ben Stein, and get our intros going. Ben Stein, founder and plateau breakthrough coach at Purpose Up, author, podcast host, and world traveler, is more than just a former product manager executive. He launched the Purpose Up podcast and Purpose Up coaching to help guide and inspire professionals to land or create their dream jobs, lead teams that love them, and find purpose and fulfillment. Ben has helped hundreds of professionals land their ideal next roles, level up their leadership, and live more purposely. He does this by helping them remove emotional blocks, gain clarity on their career vision, and give them the strategy and tactics to execute a job search the right way. He has worked with or helped clients get roles at companies like Visa, Amazon, Microsoft, VaynerMedia, KPGM, United Health, Compass Group, Data Robot, and many others. Please welcome to the show the big step and big leap and bold Ben Stein. Go ahead. Give us a couple remarks here, Ben.
Thank you for that wonderful intro, Cameron. Thank you, Steve. It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited to be talking about the leap into entrepreneurship because I know, and if there's anybody out there that's terrified about taking the leap, I was there before, had those stories that I wasn't the entrepreneurial type. So really want to share any wisdom I've gained along the way and encourage any folks that are thinking about it to think about it, have some urgency to it, and any light we can shed on that today will be some good light. Thanks again.
Love that. Love that. We got Tegan Barnes tuning in from Chicago, flying over to Bridget Hom. Bridget Hom is a mindset and strategy coach, and her company is Bridge to Freedom Coaching, the home of the Find Your Freedom program, which helps entrepreneurs and leaders in their industry to take control of their mindset, level up in how they do their personal and professional relationships, and break free from the sales pitch. Through the Find Your Freedom program she designed and created for entrepreneurs, individuals sever limiting identity beliefs and experience powerful shifts by partnering with their future successful selves, gain a romance with life, and create empowered client interactions forever. Her tagline is, take the business out of the relationship and your relationships will bring you business. Please welcome to the show, the bodacious, the beautiful, the also bold Bridget Hom.
Wow. Can I get that on recording so I can play that intro for myself every morning?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Honored to share space with you guys today. I'm super pumped about talking about the entrepreneurial mindset because everything is all about mindset. Your number one problem is mindset. Your number one solution is mindset. So I'm excited to get started with you guys today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we're flying over to Krista Mollion, a product manager and digital marketing leader. Krista has spent nearly 2 decades in tech product management and product marketing, most recently as a co-owner at Transparent House, a creative 3D VR agency, which she built from a startup to a successful multi-location business with A-list Silicon Valley clients with Apple, HP, and Google. Krista Mollion has managed the entire product development process from research and defining brand marketing strategy to product road mapping through IT development and digital asset production to product and campaign launch. In 2017, Krista sold her agency shares and since then now runs a consultancy as a business and marketing strategist, coaching, helping highly skilled professionals launch and grow their own online services businesses. She's also an active content creator with YouTube channel, a weekly live stream, a podcast, and a newsletter with almost 19,000 subscribers. Please welcome to the show the courageous consultant, Miss Krista Mollion.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Great. Thank you for having me. And I think you're hired to do the intro on my podcast.
Thank you very, very much. All right. So we're going to jump into this. Steve, get us started here. Can you define what an entrepreneurial mindset means to you? And for all my panelists, please let me know in the private chat who wants to jump in next on this. And then all my audience members, what does the entrepreneurial mindset, when you hear that, what does that mean to you? We want your comments. We want your questions. The more detailed your questions, the more our expert panel can get into it. Steve, get us started off.
So I'm really looking forward to the panelists here, and we got some really cool people today. Now, we always do, but this grouping here is phenomenal. So I really want to hear them, but I'm going to give you a little bit of thought process here, right? So, because I know a lot of people on the show, we have our share of entrepreneurs, but we have our share of people that work for companies. And, that entrepreneurial mindset, which we're going to get into a lot today, it's not just about, you're going to go out and start a company. Now it can be, but it also is that perspective on taking ownership, taking leadership, and doing things on your own, that sort of self-starter kind of mentality. I heard a phrase I have to give, I believe, Tina Campbell the credit. I heard her say the phrase, and maybe she didn't coin it, I don't know, of intrapreneur. Not an entrepreneur, but an intrapreneur, somebody who's an entrepreneur inside of a company. They work for a company, right? We're also seeing a lot of people today who are now looking to do side hustles and side businesses and things of that nature. They're seeing that the security of having one egg, if you will, may not be what they could deal with, right? So they're looking to have another opportunity, another way to kind of provide them the ability to make more money or have that extra security. So there's a lot of that. It's a huge buzz today. I was reading some information on the Gen Z age group, I guess, and so their entrepreneurship is a big part of their culture. And I think now with the fact that we're all working, a lot of us are working remotely, working from home, there's even more of this desire to want to have that entrepreneurial mindset. So I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say, and it's going to be a great show. So again, thank you to the panelists. Cameron, thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate the magic you do to get this show to make it look so great. And I'll turn it back to you, Cameron, and I guess you got whoever's going to be next.
Thank you, Steve. Steve's put together an incredible lineup. Ben is chomping at the bit. He wants to jump in. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. Thank you, guys. So I know for myself, I was terrified of becoming an entrepreneur. I myself used to work in advertising as well as product management, and the idea of leaving my benefits behind and leaving the quote stability behind was really terrifying for me. And I'm a guy that likes systems and likes to follow a plan. I had a story that I wasn't the entrepreneurial type. With all that said, I knew I wasn't doing work that I was passionate about, and I trained to become a coach a few years earlier, and that was even prior. I had been coached because I was a hot mess in my early 20s. That led to a coach and training program. And I left the coach and training program and came back to it years later. So like Steve was saying, side hustle was super important in my story to first have a proof of concept that, hey, I'm a good coach. B, I enjoy it. And C, I can get paid for it. So I did that for a couple years on the side as I was a VP of product at a .com. And so for me, taking that leap when that restructure happened was all about saying, okay, hey, I'm going to regret this if I do not try this. And it's all about courage in facing the fear of going into it. And then I realized the power of belief and intentionality in taking that leap. So that entrepreneurial mindset is saying, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. It may or may not work, and I'm going to feel the fear and do it anyway. And the faster that you can feel the fear and practice through it, the better an entrepreneur you're going to be. So that's what the entrepreneurial mindset means to me.
I love that, Ben. And I love that personal take on it, because I think that's what we're here for, right? Tegan Barta says, an entrepreneurial mindset for me is a risk taker who identifies and makes the most of opportunities, must be able to overcome and learn from setbacks. I love that. Bridget, I know you wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Bridget.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Everything that's been said. So the first thing to address is, what is an entrepreneur? How many people have said they have a vision for a business, for a market that's untapped, unserved, or not being served well, but they don't know how to take that leap. They maybe don't identify as an entrepreneur. Maybe they have a limiting belief that an entrepreneur is this amazing person who is going to make tons of money and is a visionary. Entrepreneur means something different for everyone, but it first has to begin with a vision. A vision, and I say it's your future successful self, but a vision of something that a market that's not being served, that you want to serve. And you have to become obsessed with a way of serving others based on a product, message, or service before you even step into that entrepreneurial mindset. Once you get into the vision of what you want to create, the people that you do want to serve. Then you step into the mindset. What does mindset mean for the entrepreneur? It means stopping living under the influence of circumstances, environments, situations, and starting to become the influence in your life, your relationships, and business. Because let's be honest, the lines are blurred in the entrepreneurship life. So my version of the entrepreneurial mindset is you don't live under the influence of circumstances, environments, situations. You have become the influence in your life, relationships, and business. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Love that. All right. So I know Krista wants to jump in, so I'm going to let her do that before we get feedback from everybody. Go ahead, Krista.
I think what differentiates people from being an entrepreneur versus not being an entrepreneur is your ability to go in blind and full of fear and still keep going. Because there's a lot of people that have skill in different areas who just are so caught up in the perfectionism trap, and they have to have this, that it's guaranteed that it's going to work, or they have to be able to measure it in advance. And while I believe in strategy and knowing your audience, entrepreneurship is a lot about taking a leap and going into a risk. And so whatever your expectations are as an entrepreneur, I would say you should double them. So it will take twice as long and will be twice as hard as whatever you think it's going to be. And if you're willing to keep going despite knowing that, then you're cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's definitely always harder than you imagined it to be, right? I think that's a commonality in the journey. I'd love to hear the audience, and if you are on that entrepreneurial journey, what was something you were thinking as you were starting into it, what you thought would be easy, and what ended up being hard, or vice versa. There might have been something that you thought was going to be incredibly difficult and was easy. I know for me, raising prices, which is a common thing people don't want to do, I thought it was going to be so difficult, and it ended up being a lot easier down the road. There was definitely things, financial management and other pieces that were a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. All right. So we got our second question. What was your why behind taking the leap and starting your first company? So anybody want to jump right into this? Steve, you want to get us started off on this, and I'll let the panel tell me. Go ahead, Steve.
Absolutely. No doubt. And I just want to, and Bridget kind of challenged us all. Fantastic. Everyone did a great job explaining what their take on entrepreneurship is. I just want to take it down to a little bit more of a tactical approach or mindset behind it. And many of you guys, I'm sure, have read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Great book. And he had a couple of sequels after that, the Cash Flow Quadrant. And in the Cash Flow Quadrant, he talks about 4 quadrants. And this is a kind of a way to kind of look at. And 3 of those 4 quadrants could be qualified or categorized as an entrepreneur, right? He talks about on the left side of the quadrant, there's an E and the S. So employee, right? Self-employed. But again, you could be an entrepreneur inside that company. We talked about the entrepreneur, right? Or the S, which is self-employed, small business owner, right? My dad, he owned a liquor store. He was pretty much a slave to his business. And, if he didn't work, he didn't get paid. And, he thought he was going to have no boss by being self-employed, but he had 1,000 bosses, every one of his customers. So interesting what that S can be. And I think now with technology, it's become a lot easier to be a little bit more free and not as confined as he was in that retail space. But I know with all the things that we have with technology and apps and things of that nature. And then on the right side is passive revenue, because the left side is sort of active. You work, you get paid. You work, you put in hours, you get paid. On the right side is passive. One of those quadrants happens to be the big business owner or system. The business system is what it's also referred to. And that's when you get to like 500 or more employees, where you've got a system in place where you could pull yourself out of the equation, X yourself out, and the business continues to grow and thrive. And then the bottom of that right side of that passive is investors. And listen, it's great if you invested in Bitcoin and you did it early enough, then you made some money from it. But that's not true investor. Investors that he refers to in the book is people like, oh, there you go. Appreciate that, Cameron. People like, the Warren Buffetts of the world, right? They have lots of money they can invest, and that's their, but even as an investor, whether you're, real estate, you've got a real estate portfolio, that's an investor. And that is another form of entrepreneurship, right? It's a mindset. But to answer the question, I just want to throw that out there. And I appreciate you bringing up the slide. The one thing I want to say for me, what got me off of it, maybe a little bit seeing my dad, but really for me, I got out of college. I went to school, high school and college for advertising, couldn't get a job. So it was kind of forced entrepreneurship in my case. It was either sit around and wait or start a company. And so I started an advertising company, and that was what did it for me. I think we're seeing a lot of people in this new era, this new world that COVID has created, where people have now started to venture out. Maybe they were laid off. They were, whatever the wording we call it now, furloughed, which became like a layoff or whatever we are. People are now looking for other ways to be able to make income. And so now, we're seeing a lot more of entrepreneurship coming as well. But for me, it was forced entrepreneurship initially, but I didn't want to have to be that hours for dollars. When I read that book, it kind of changed my perspective, and I wanted to be able to have a life. I wanted whatever I did to generate income. And I love what Bridget said about knowing your why, whatever it is. I just want to know that I want to enjoy what I do. I wanted to leverage my skills and talents, but whatever that money that I'm generating doing that, I want the ability to fuel my passions and the things I really want in life. Not necessarily get so hung up on. I think the challenge with the world today and the younger generation today is they're looking for this passion in what they're going to do in their job or business or career, and maybe they'll find it. But often what I found is it's going to be really exciting and passionate for a few years, and then it sort of tarnishes a little bit. So if you focus on, allowing it to be a vehicle to allow you to achieve the things you really want in life, for me, it's in a kind of a earthly sense, it's travel, it's helping family, it's peace of mind. But the bigger thing for me is to be able to make an impact on this world. And that's really what drives me. And if you saw some of my posts earlier yesterday, I talked about my, life's mission statement. And that really is what the North Star is for me and what really drives me. So anyway, I don't want to dominate, but I wanted to give you a perspective, and I'll pass it back to whoever's next, Cameron.
So Bridget's up, but I just wanted to strike out because it's a great soundbite, but trading hours for dollars, right? I think, that's the thing that we're all in one way or another trying to get away from. Even if you love your job, you're in it, your income, your revenue should not be solely predicated on the thing that you're doing 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are in a job. And this is the entrepreneurial mindset, just in a little bit, right? Just getting down to how am I going to create income, because a pandemic can happen. Some other disaster can happen. We want to get past that, just trading hours for dollars. Love that. Bridget, go ahead.
I want to speak into that because what I love about what you just said, the employee mindset of trading hours for dollars versus the entrepreneurial mindset, you get what you believe you deserve, what you're convinced you're worth. There's really no ceiling. I love that the depiction between the employee mindset and the entrepreneur mindset. And for the entrepreneur, it's really about combining that vision. Steve was talking about how if you can combine a way to serve people, like an untapped market that really needs this service, with combining your passions and your gifts and your talents, that's the perfect business, right, guys? If you can create a company that speaks into a need and is authentically an obsession with who you are based on your gifts and talents, then that's the perfect entrepreneurship journey. That actually speaks into my specific journey, because what I saw was a need for entrepreneurs to have that romance with life, but partner with their future successful self and create those empowered client interactions. So when I created my program, I was speaking into a need and my own need as well. So my program serves me as well with my mindset strategies that helps entrepreneurs to have that work-life balance, but become wildly successful based on who they are being when they are doing. And that value is all based on your deservability, what you believe you deserve and what you believe the market that you're serving deserves as well. What do you guys think about that?
I love that. And I want to get our smartest panelists here is our audience, right? So I wanted to get some feedback from them. Leslie Martinez says, after 30 plus years as an employee for several companies, I'm a new entrepreneur. I often find myself with an employee mindset. Is there anything the panel can suggest I can do to help me make this mindset shift? So that's great. I'm going to put a pin on that, Leslie, and let that marinate with our expert panelists, right? So it's shifting over from the employee to the entrepreneurial mindset. And then Laura says, right on, I refer to the cash flow quadrant book and have it right here with me. It's about how you relate to time and money. Ultimately, freedom and impact, leverage, residual income is an ultimate goal for me. For so many of us, right? We really appreciate that. And Susan says, working for yourself on your own beliefs, you will never be stunted. Love that. All right. So I definitely want to make sure we're coming back to Leslie as we continue on down this road. Ben, I know you wanted to jump in. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. Thank you, Cameron. So with Leslie's question, I want to answer that right off the bat with what I believe. And I think with an employee mindset, what I find when I'm not being as effective as I want to be is I'm doing things that are in my comfort zone. And so to really step into that entrepreneurial mindset, we get to put on the hat of the CEO and we get to ask ourselves, A, do I have a strategy? B, if I do have a strategy, am I activating on it? And C, am I using my time in the most leveraged way possible? So when we think about what we're doing, if we're sitting in our comfort zone and we're doing things that are, moving the ball forward a little bit versus those big picture items that can really be big boulders that move things forward, those can help us move out. And we have to rate ourselves at the end of each day, especially if we're solopreneurs and we don't have a big team. We ask ourselves, how did I do at CEO today? And how did I do as an employee, right? So if I set a grand vision and I've got a great strategy in place, maybe I was a great CEO, but if I didn't get it done, maybe I wasn't a good employee for the day. But if we look at each of those each day, and as we grow and scale, it's more important to play that CEO part and delegate things better. That can be a good way to shift from the employee mindset. We get to continually get out of our comfort zone. Shifting gears a little bit to answer the question, why did we get into entrepreneurship in the first place? I'll just tell a story. I was in corporate America. I was a VP of a .com. I had the golden handcuffs. And I ultimately just did not care about what I was doing. It was like the ultimate comfort zone. And I even had some growth in there, but I really didn't, I was a product manager and I didn't love the people that I was serving. And my first baby was on the way and then a restructure happened. And I realized that I wanted to have more time with my kids than the corporate, getting a next job in product management would have allowed me to do. And also, I wanted work that I was really passionate about and helping people with their struggles, with their purpose and their struggles finding meaningful work in the work that I do to help people land or create their jobs was really my why. So having more time freedom for family and helping people, that was my why.
Of that. Steve, I know you wanted to jump in with some book recommendations for Leslie. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. A great question, Leslie. I'm glad you're on with us. And yeah, and it was great having a conversation with you, whatever it was last week or a couple of weeks ago. But one great book, the first one that came to my mind is the book by Jocko Williams. I forget how to pronounce the name. Extreme Ownership. That's the name of the book.
Great book.
Leif Babin and Jocko Willing, I believe is the name. Anyway, you do Stream Ownership, you'll figure out the actual name of the authors. But tremendous book, and the premise of the book is really if there's any responsibility, it falls exactly on you, right? The employee mindset often can be somebody else is going to do it. My mentor says, George is going to do it, right? If you're walking and if you work for if you work for a company, a lot of times he'll see if they're an employee mindset if they walk over a piece of paper that's on the floor instead of picking it up and putting it in the garbage, right? That's an employee mindset, right? So taking ownership, that's a great book. So the Extreme Ownership. But the challenge is, and I think Ben, you talked about it a little bit, right? You want to be able to scale. You don't want to be working constantly in your business, right? And I know that's one of my favorite books that I know Cameron likes to talk about, which is Cameron, I'm blanking on the name of the book. Why am I doing that right now?
The E-Myth?
The E-Myth Revisited. Yes. Thank you. Appreciate that. So the premise of the book is working on your business versus in your business, right? We get so wrapped up in just doing the day-to-day that we lose sight of all that other stuff. So that's another great book. Yeah, that's the book. There we go. Exactly. Fantastic book. And then, you know, the other thing I would recommend besides those two books, and there's so many other books, right? You know, we hear stories about the most successful entrepreneurs. They go through between 2 to 3 to 4 books a month. So very, very crucial to read. And thank God for Audible, because I'm able to get through, you know, at least a couple of books a month, because I'm learning disabled, dyslexic, and reading was torturous for me. So, but anyway, so those are just some great books. But there's so many other great books out there. If you're trying to build culture in a company, Turn the Ship Around. There's a great book. The Culture Code. Again, if you're looking to create a culture, and again, if you're only a solopreneur, there's not going to be a lot of talk about culture because you're it, right? But as you're growing and scaling and looking to bring on a team, you know, you want to definitely look at that. And the thing I will say, one last thing is try to find someone, a mentor in your life that you could kind of try to get some experience, some mindset, some perspective, and be able to bounce that off. And maybe it's a business coach, maybe it's somebody who's just been, you know, uber successful, and then they're willing to give you some time and cherish that relationship. I've been blessed to have that, the second relationship, that where I'm able to have somebody in my life that has that role with me, and I don't pay him as a coach, and we have a mutually beneficial relationship. So it's tremendous. But whatever you could do, find someone in your life that could really be that blessing. Because a lot of times we have blind spots, and the books help, but sometimes we're like, yeah, that's Joe, that's John, and we're not looking at ourselves a lot of times. So definitely having a mentoring relationship and having that perspective is extremely important.
So Krista's got some great advice for Leslie, but Bridget wanted to jump in and offer a contrary view. What do you want to say, Bridget?
You know, I absolutely agree. Reading books about what you want to be doing is definitely important. But one of the problems, one of the things that I've seen that hold entrepreneurs back is that they stay in that setting of, I need to learn more. I'm just not ready. And what I want to speak into today is that you need to do. You know, some of my clients, I just tell them, I'm like, listen, how many appointments do you have on your calendar right now? I know you have this knowledge, but if it's not serving you in growing, in serving with your product, message, or service, what is the goal? So ask yourself the question, what is the goal? If the books that you're reading are not launching you into serving your industry better in some way, what is the goal? Then you obviously just enjoy reading, and that's fantastic. I absolutely love it. But you want to be out there doing organic market research. You want to be, really learning what your people need. Are you speaking into that? So I just want to say, I agree with you 100%. And finding a mentor, a coach, I agree with that, guys. So make that happen. Find someone who will support you, hold you accountable, and stretch you to leveling up and get out there and make moves. You guys all did that. We all did that. And that's why we're all here today together.
Yeah, I think Bridget's talking about that analysis paralysis, right? You don't want to be so caught up in finding out and learning. You don't want to get caught up and not actually do, right? Krista, I know you had some great suggestions for Leslie as well. Go ahead.
All right. So I would like to shift away from worrying about these things, because worry is an energy vampire. And as Bridget said, doing is what's important. But instead of thinking about being an entrepreneur, how about thinking about serving the community? And what I would advise you to do is spend as much time with your target audience offline as possible. Meaning, instead of just thinking, how can I find clients? What should I serve to them? Like my offers, my courses, my programs. How about letting that all go and just focusing on spending all your time with your target audience? Because when you do that, you're going to really understand what they need. And then you're not going to worry about becoming an entrepreneur. You're going to worry about serving them. And that's where I would want you to be. So most of the time, I just worry about building friendships with people. And some of them convert to clients. Some of them might never become a client, but all of them are giving me value. So when people say, what should I post? Or how do I learn to build a course or a program to serve my audience? I don't go out and build that. I let them tell me what their problems are. And then I figure out how I can better serve them. And if you do that, I don't think this issue of being an entrepreneur or not is that important anymore.
Love it. Love it. Steve, who's up next here?
I just want to say one thing, and you know, we're focusing, and thank you, Bridget, for setting us straight here and getting us in the right direction. Krista, thanks for putting an exclamation point on that with what you just said. And again, remember that the topic here is taking the leap, the entrepreneurial mindset, right? It's not just all about, so yes, you know, and we carefully, you know, created the title and the topic with that in mind, that we're taking a leap here, right? And I agree with, you know, Cameron knows, you know, some of you guys saw, I did a couple weeks back, I did a post on, you know, making sure, I don't remember now, I'm doing a lot more, not as much video as, I'm doing video, but I'm doing all the non-video stuff. And one of my posts, I can't keep track anymore, was about that exact point where you want to actually just take action. You know, action cures fear, right? Faith without works is dead. I mean, there's all sorts of things. We got to take action, you know, obviously, but we also want to take the right action. And I love the post that Ben said backstage here, which is knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Great point, you know, Ben. And there you go, right on cue, Cameron. Excellent job there. But yeah, so it's just we want to take action. And I love the fact of, Krista, what you just said, which is really making sure, you know, that you're getting out there, you're speaking. I love the offline. You know, anyone who knows me, I'm a huge offline guy, right? I want to take these conversations from LinkedIn and from my networking meetings to a one-on-one conversation. Huge on that, right? And getting real feedback and real dialogue, real connection. So anyway, Cameron, I gave you some time to figure out who's next, but I don't know who's next either. I
don't know who's next. Who's next? You guys tell me.
You know, can I jump in? I love what Krista just said in our private chat too. She said it's about the 3 Ds: do, delegate, and delete. That's absolutely invaluable. And I'd love for her to share about that too. The other 3 Ds that I share with, you know, any entrepreneur, anyone who comes my way, is the 3 Ds are direction, decisions, and destination. As an entrepreneur with the right mindset, everything you do is about direction. Give yourself a direction to make decisions to get to a destination, which your destination is always your future successful self. Same with communication strategies. In a one-on-one, when you're meeting prospects, clients, or referral partners, everything is about your ability to give the conversation a direction so that you both can make decisions to get to a destination of either partnering together or doing something else. But that is your job as the entrepreneur, as the influencer in your life and business, to give those 3 Ds. Krista, do you want to tag in on that? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So those 3 Ds provide the basis to me for how you're going to manage your time. And the most powerful thing you can learn is how to say no to most things, because as a new entrepreneur, you're going to be bombarded with the expectation of doing everything: sales, marketing, business operations, finances, scheduling. And so the very first thing you have to figure out, compared to being an employee, is what are the things that only you can do? What is the actual thing that lights you up? And where is your superpower, so that you can focus most of your energy on doing that thing that is not replaceable, that is not outsourceable? Maybe that means you going on camera and doing your podcast, your weekly YouTube channel, a live show, an article, your one-on-one coaching, your live stage public speaking. Those are the things that really you can't outsource or delegate. Everything else you can outsource or delegate, but you can also delete. So it's very powerful to learn how to say no to a lot of things, because people are going to hand you a lot of shiny new objects when you're an entrepreneur. They're going to say, you need a sales funnel, you need email marketing, you need this and that, and you need to know the difference. Come here, say hi.
We got a coworker.
That's the entrepreneurship life.
That's the life right there. That's what it is.
And may I also add about kids? The question that you asked, number 2, is how.
Captain Puppies.
Yes, how we came into this journey.
Captain Puppies.
Hold on, Ivy. I'm going to tell him. Yes, hold on.
Getting some support from the coworker there.
She wants to know if anyone has kids or cats, but you guys just
We
with
do.
the background.
I got kids. I don't know cats.
3 kids.
So I have 4 kids, and this is the reason why I became an entrepreneur, because I was having a very successful career in Silicon Valley. And I remember being 21 and saying, I'm going to be this female executive. Like, I want to be the next president of Hewlett Packard or Facebook or whatever the next big startup is. And about 5 years in, I realized just how impossible that was in the current environment back then. And I'm hoping that by now things have shifted. But based on the people I'm coaching who are leaving corporate America in Doves, I don't think so. So it sounds like they're facing a lot of the same problems why I left. And unfortunately, that means time. The most valuable asset you have in your life is your 24 hours. And this is super important reason and motivation to become an entrepreneur, because I think in like 2005, I want to say, I read this book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and a light bulb went off in my mind. And I really, these words just would not leave me. Passive income. And I started reading everything I could about passive income. And I said to myself, this is the future. I'm going to build digital courses. I'm going to write books. I'm going to find a way of creating recurring revenue streams where I put in the work up front and then the money comes in behind it, ongoing, long term. And I think, yes, oh my goodness, there we go. You've got the book in front of you. And so that's my why. My why was to buy back my life. I realized that working all day long, 40 hours a week or more, which in Silicon Valley, it was more like 80 hours a week, was not going to be aligned with my values of having a family, of traveling, of going to their Christmas pageants, of being there to pick them up, etc. And it's a choice. I made a lot of sacrifices. I could have made a lot of money in corporate America. I ended up making a lot more as an entrepreneur, I'll be honest, but I also worked a lot less. So I had so much more flexibility, and I wouldn't give it up for the world because I have 4 beautiful kids and one of them just started college. So that's all.
No, and I think this is a really important point, and Kawasaki makes it it's such a big deal, very succinct in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But, corporate structure allows you to mitigate costs, cutting out the middleman and the employer, all the costs that go along with becoming an employee. If you're able to, it's not for everybody, right? I don't think we want to sit here and sell anybody on, owning your own business is easy and you can just work 4 hours of work, in a week and you'll make all the money that you want to. A lot of what Timothy Ferriss is talking about in that book, which I love, and we've talked about a little bit on the show before, is get down to 4 hours of the stuff you hate doing, the things that you absolutely just don't want to do, but just have to, because, at some point you got to wash your clothes if you're not able to outsource it. There's certain things that you got to do that you just can't outsource for whatever reason, right? You got to brush your own teeth, right? Unless you're coming to America and you got, servants to you brush your teeth for you, some crazy stuff like that, right? There's certain things that you got to do. So how do you get down to those things that you just, the least amount of time spending on it, but getting to spend the most amount of time doing the things that you love, like spending time with your children. I know that was one of the reasons that I started my own business. I want to get into this third question that we have for everybody, which is because no man, no woman is an island, right? We all need somebody who helped you or what helped you make that first step, who helped and empowered you to take that leap and why. I'd love to get into this. Krista, you sort of started talking about it, already, but you didn't talk about necessarily who was your support system. I know for me, my wife was incredibly supportive, and it was interesting because as I was starting my company 10 years ago, the post story while it was happening. She was like, all right, I'm in, I'm going to support you monetarily, time wise, all that. In the back of her mind, she was like, I don't think this is going to work, but she supported me because she's my wife. She was going to take care of me. And luckily it's worked out. It's paid the bills. But she told me, like, I didn't really think this was going to happen, but I support you anyways. Right. Who supported you? Who gave you that leg up? Who wants to jump in? I know Bridget's Bridget's always on it. So anybody else want to jump in on this topic after Bridget? Let me know in the private chat. Go ahead, Bridget.
I want to speak into that. It really does take a village. It's a combination of things. It's seeing that there was a need. It's circumstances. It's the COVID days. I think everyone experienced a shift in the COVID days. I'm not going to say that swear word pivot. Oh, I said it. Everyone experienced that. And really, doing your market research just around you, like asking people, would you take this? Would you pay for coaching? What's the most valuable skill that you think I have? Asking people and seeing where there's a need. But I also want to speak into, I think it's amazing, Cameron, that your wife supported you. And speaking into Krista, when you talked about the time that you gained from living the entrepreneurship life, one of my coaches and mentors, I've had a couple, talk to me, there is no time management because, someone who could be working hourly and someone and have nothing at the end of the day. And then there's a millionaire or billionaire at the end of the day. They have the same amount of time. We all have the same 168 hours a week. So when it comes to the entrepreneur mindset, it's really about task management and mind management. Those are the two components that make up the successful entrepreneur. Because the reason the entrepreneur only works 4 hours a day is because they've developed a system. They've developed a process, a plan, and a vision for how many hours a day they need to work to serve in their market and still be wildly successful. One of the resources that I love and a fellow coach, Chris Rivera, suggested to me was the book, God is Money in Action. It's a small pamphlet by Charles Barker. And, it talks about how we usually get the amount of money that we believe that we deserve, that we're convinced we're worth. It also talks about money as a currency of energy, and their time is also a currency. So it's a fascinating read. I totally suggest it. It's just a small pamphlet. You guys can probably get that anywhere online. But Money is God in Action. Really fantastic book.
Love that. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I love all that and totally agree that money is energy. And so to that end, I've invested a lot in myself. When I was in my late 20s, I was numbing out with drugs and alcohol. And coaching was the key to unnumbing myself and gaining that vision for where I ultimately wanted to be. And having somebody see the best version of myself and help bring me to that was the power of coaching for me and some of my early coaches, one in particular named Kate, and they saw in me the coaching ability that I had. So I turned a 6-month life coaching intensive into a 2-year apprenticeship training program where I got to practice, I got to hone my craft, and I got to be supervised. And since that time, a little over a decade ago, I've worked with purpose coaches, business coaches, energy coaches, emotional release coaches. And all of that investment in myself has allowed me to gain skills and increase my value and my self-worth. I think it is totally true that we only command what we think we're worth. And I love what Tony Robbins says. He says, our 2 core wounds is that we're not lovable and that we're not valuable. So as part of one of those key mindset pieces that we get to do is we get to step into our value, and we get to continually do that as an entrepreneur. And that's why I love it, because I'm a self-development geek. And in being an entrepreneur, you're constantly in that crucible each day, testing your value, improving it, and walking into it. So the coaches that I've had have been instrumental for me. And I love holding that space and holding people to their highest selves to help them develop in their career and even launch their own businesses. It's an amazing privilege to see. And it's amazing once people really step into where their energy wants to be versus just draining their energy in work that does not fulfill them.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Krista.
I love this conversation. So, kudos to all of you guys for your answers. This is amazing. And we've all been on different journeys. And that's what's beautiful about social media, is that we can learn from each other in totally different ways. If the audience listening here is listening to all of us now, you're going to get so much various value because we don't have the same path. So my path, I'm going to answer this question, and sorry for my toddler. She makes a lot of noise. Shh, Ivy, I'm on the call. So I didn't have the traditional support. And so when you ask who really pushed me into entrepreneurship, I would say that the hardships of life pushed me in that direction. So I really felt like everyone was against it. My parents were against it. My husband was against it. No one wanted me to become an entrepreneur. And no one around me was an entrepreneur. So they just thought that this was some kind of a phase, or I was crazy, or I was lazy, that I didn't want to get a job, or I wanted to leave my good job. Everyone was worried about that extremely. And long story short, everyone who told me I couldn't succeed was my teacher, because that motivated me in my stubbornness, that pushed me forward, that fueled me to really ask myself, why do I want this? And that is the best decision you can have, because when you look around you and there's absolutely no one on your side, in fact, people are like worried about you, then it forces you to think twice, to think deeper and say, are they all right? Maybe I'm wrong. And if you still feel like, no, there's something really deep inside me that says this is what you need, then you're probably destined to be an entrepreneur for the long haul, through thick and thin.
I love that. And I think, that fear of like leaving the 9 to 5 or that secure job. And I talk to people about it all the time. If, having the conversation, being an entrepreneur, you get into conversations with people that are like, well, I'm thinking about doing this. And I'm like, listen, I encourage you. I think it's great, but understand the check, the benefits, the 401k plan, the things that you were, you didn't, maybe you take for granted. Those things aren't necessarily going to be for you. So you got to take that leap, and building your foundation and building those people around you that do believe in you, and building your information base and your financial base, going back to that savings account. Make sure you're stressing that piggy bank out, making it fill to the gills so that you have that safety net for you, because everyone goes through financial challenges, especially when you own your own business. So having those assurances there. Krista, I love what you're talking about, because it's can be so challenging for people to let that go, that do understand what it is. And so getting to that place where you're like, you know what, you can do this. You have it. There's people here that support you. That's such an amazing big deal, and exactly what we're talking about in terms of, who helped and empowered you to take the leap and why. I mean, that's, a lot of times it comes down and back to us, that we have to empower ourselves. But it's nice when we have people that are supporting us as well. All right, I want to get into this fourth question, and we're getting close to the end of the show. So I want to kind of go round robin and let people say not only what we're, the answer to this question here, but also, if you have some great advice for folks that you want to leave them with, this would be a great opportunity for it. So question 4, if I can get it typed and put into this form the right way here. And I just submitted it into the private chat. So bear with me, everybody, as I actually put it into an official banner here and put it on the screen, talking through it. Here we go. All right. So question 4, what do you recommend to the viewers that feel stuck but really want to move on in life? And just before we jump into that, I want to highlight Tegan, who was very honest. Cameron, not at all now, but I have felt both stuck and stagnant in the past, and encourage anyone who's feeling that way to listen and take action. We had a couple of people shouting out their spouses for supporting them as well. Love that question, Cameron. Shout out to my husband, a former client who encouraged me to take my business full time. I get to change people's lives for the better every day now, which creates a ripple effect that is beyond rewarding. And Susan also chiming in. Tegan, thank you for that. Susan says, my husband encouraged me to take the leap. He's been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. So it really does pay to have a team behind you. So let's get into this question here, right? So what do you recommend to the viewers that feel stuck but really want to move on in their lives? Who wants to jump in first? I'm going to let Steve jump into this, and if you guys can let me know. I know Bridget's chomping at the bit, but just let me know in the private chat who wants to go. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think Bridget and I we're looking to jump in on the previous topic, so I'll throw a little of that and then maybe answer the second piece. And I got to tell you, it's hysterical watching. Me and Cameron get the StreamYard backstage view, so we get to see Bridget behind the scenes laughing at different points where nobody else sees her except Cameron and I. It's really a lot of fun. You keep me going there, Bridget. Thank you for that. You're kind of like all those expressions. I love it. Yeah, exactly. Drink that coffee. That helps. So one of the things I'm going to say, and it goes back to what Krista was talking about a little bit, is there you go, Cameron. Don't get SNIOPed. That's what my mentor said to me. SNIOP. It's an acronym. Susceptible to the negative influences of other people, right? And that's what happens a lot of times. People actually get, there's so many people around us, and often it's those, again, that's a label categorized, but there is definitely an 80-20 rule in everything, right? We know that for sure. It's the Pareto principle, right? The 20-80 rule. And then in that 20%, by the way, it breaks down again. There's another 80-20 in that 20%. And you're really ultimately looking for people that have they have the fruit on the tree. They've been there, done that. They have the success. I always say to myself, and I tell people that I've been privileged to mentor around me, that, before you listen to somebody, literally say to yourself, okay, number one, is this person in life where I want to be? That's criteria number one. And then the second question is, will they physically take the time to help me? And unless it's yes to both, I ain't listening, guys. I'm not. Sorry, and listen, I've learned in life now, taking a lot of years, to not be confrontational. So yes, okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's out the window. It's gone. It's into one ear, out the other. I'm not letting it take root in this fertile, mind here. Because the brain is, and I see Bridget behind stage shaking her head like crazy, but it is true. Our brain is a fertile ground, and what we sow in that, again, we'll reap. So I won't let it take root. It won't take form. So having someone in your life that's sort of the second part to the question, or the fourth question, or third question, I guess, which is find someone in your life that's been there, done that. They have the fruit. They have those criteria, and listen and take action. And then what do you do? What I recommend? Get that person and take action. Stop thinking. I love that. Maybe Krista, you said it. I don't remember. No analysis paralysis. Get off your rump. Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Right. There's my favorite book. One of my favorite books is The Magic of Thinking Big. It talks about the 3 diseases, success diseases. And one of them is detailitis. One is procrastination. And the other one is, I always forget the third one, but anyway, don't overthink. Just do it. Just get in and do it. Right. And so that's what I want to say. Stop thinking, just do. Cameron, you're muted, sir.
Cameron.
I got my first mute going on. Go ahead. So Bridget, I know you wanted to jump in, and then I know Ben wants to jump in, and Krista as well. Go ahead, Bridget.
So many good nuggets, Steve. Seriously, you just blew my mind just now. It's so important. If you're interested in the entrepreneur life for one reason or another, you really have to declare that vision for yourself, and you have to make that vision so large that nothing else pulls you into that negativity. Like you guys were talking about, nothing else calls you into living under the influence of those opinions, those relationships, those circumstances, anything that comes at you. Your vision has to be larger than anything. And so as an entrepreneur, if you're looking into this this lifestyle, finding your freedom this way, then I absolutely suggest get with someone who knows the journey, who has been there and who you admire, who is wildly successful, who you want to emulate and who you like what they've created. Honestly, hop on my calendar if you want. It's just bridgethom.me. We could absolutely talk about your journey. But it is so important to get that other person's perspective and make sure that they can help you get clear, because the brain only works with 3 things, guys: direction, decisions, and destination. So have someone help you set up your destination and see what that feels like for you. Then start making decisions. Start observing in your life instead of absorbing the chaos around you. Observing and see what works. But it's time. Your time is now. Start to level up and gain some direction today. That's all I have.
Love it. Go ahead, Ben.
I love all that, Bridget, and I love your consistency of messaging and piggybacking off of all of that, especially with the direction and mindset. Just fun little science fact that I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with, but we've got this filter in our brain, the RAS, the reticular activating system. And in people that are stuck, they're often focusing on what's not working. This reticular activating system is the filter for all of the stimulus coming into our brain. And so we program it. So when you see a new pair of shoes, you're shopping for a certain type of house, it inundates you. So if you're focused on what's not working, that's going to inundate you. Your brain's going to think that's important. Now, when you focus on your vision and you reinforce that with peers, with coaching help, with immersing yourself in blogs and videos and all of this, then you're reinforcing that vision. And that's this like self-fulfilling prophecy. And I also love the work of Joe Dispenza, Changing the Habit of Being You, where you really get to shift your default states from where you are to where you want to be. And like Bridget was saying, observe and then also practice your ways of being to step into being more courageous, more bold, etc. And then from there, have some experiments with things that are fun. I started a podcast, I even wrote a kid's book, right? And with all of those, I had accountability. I set a deadline. I didn't know the how, but I just went for it. So all of these things are incredible tools when you're stuck to have some forcing functions, to shift your focus, get into action, and have some fun.
Love that, Ben. Go ahead, Krista.
I'm going to shift gears for a moment because there may be somebody out there who's listening who has some serious problems here with their, hold on, I'm coming, honey. You go there. You go there. You go, Ivy. Don't be scared. Sorry.
You got to bring her into the show.
I know. But this is important. I think that there's different levels of stuck and anxiety. And I want to keep it real because I want to share with you, if you don't mind, I want to share with you something really, really real. Is that okay?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll call her back. My other daughter's calling. We'll call her back. When I got a divorce, I was a total wreck. I hit rock bottom. So a lot of success stories, you guys only hear about people who go up, up, up. Like, they were in corporate, then they left, then they became an entrepreneur, and then they started making money. Or I don't know, they started something, they built it, and happy end. The prince on the horse came, whatever. And for me, it was the opposite. I made a lot of money and I lost all of my money. And I want to share that right now because I don't think that's very typical. And I think that people don't understand that my values have totally shifted because of that, because I know what it's like to be really, really rich. And I want to say that honestly, because I lost it all. And not only did I lose it all, but I got a divorce. And I was in this brutal battle where my money was all frozen. The lawyer's fees were in the 6 figures. And it got so bad at one point, and my head wasn't in the right space too. So I was spending money in bad ways. It got so bad at one point that I actually became homeless. What I would do is I would sleep in my car, and I was just hoping to God that my car would still be there. that, no one was coming to tell me that somehow I had to give up my car. And I had suitcases in the back, and I would go to my gym, which I downgraded to the cheapest gym I could find. And I would like take my showers there, do my hair and makeup, and then I would go and pretend that I was okay. And I'm sharing this with you to bring in a new perspective of what it means to be stuck, because I really thought I was screwed. I mean, I thought everything was just, that's it. There's no getting out of this. I was in rock bottom, really, guys. I had so many debts. I was like waiting for them to throw me in jail for non-payment of various things. I had no credit cards. I couldn't even get my credit report to rent a place. At one point, my computer broke, and I didn't even have the money to repair my computer. And as you can imagine, I'm working online, so everything had to happen through my phone. So I had to I had to build my entire business with my phone. And I didn't have any money, and I didn't have anywhere to sleep at night. I was sleeping in my car. But through that very, very difficult time, I had this idea that this is not me. Like this rock bottom person is not going to be my end of my story. And that's what got me out of it. Not a person, not getting help from anybody. Most of my friends were mad at me for the divorce. There was a lot of like battles. My parents were far away. I didn't really want to get help from them. I was ashamed. I was frankly ashamed, playing really strong. And I built my new business from my cell phone in the back of my car. And I would go to coffee shops and I would set up my phone and I would do Zoom calls, free Zoom calls, because I didn't have any money to afford them. And that's how I slowly started building my business again. I had a clause in my divorce that I couldn't start a marketing agency for 5 years because I had sold my company shares. It was a mess. And that's how I had to start from being stuck. So when people tell me, oh, I'm so stuck, I feel so stuck, I like to tell my story, because you never know who's listening who doesn't really understand what it means to be stuck. So I thought this was important to share with your audience. And I hope this reaches somebody who is feeling like, they can't get out of their situation. If I can get out of being homeless, living out of my car, having only a phone, and having kids, I had to deal with my kids through this time and having really no one to help me, because I was either too embarrassed to ask people who would have helped me, or I just didn't have people close to me that I wanted to share that with. You can too.
So Krista, such an amazing and powerful story. Just finish that off for us. Where can people find you? Obviously, your LinkedIn link is below. Where can people find you if they're not connecting with you on LinkedIn? Where else can they go? Krista, you're on mute. Just
sorry, I just typed in my website. I want you guys to know that everything I did from my cell phone, and I was able to build a 7-figure business while being homeless.
Wow,
That's amazing.
And I had to be homeless because my credit was so bad, no one would rent anything to me. So I had no, like, my whole credit history, there was the before the divorce and then after the divorce. And as you guys know, in America, you need a credit report. So they took one look at my finance and no one would rent to me. But I don't quite fit the picture of someone in need for government assistance. So I was living in my car. And my parents lived very far away. And so I didn't have anywhere to go.
Krista,
And so I basically was like in the YMCA. I was in the YMCA. I would do my hair. I had my suitcase with my clothes. My kids were in school. I would drop them off at school and I would go to a coffee shop with my phone and I would build my business.
Krista, what I love about what you just said is you just personified the courage, the determination, and just I don't even know if I have a word for it, guys. I don't even know if there's a word for what you did. It's just beyond incredible, mic dropping, incredible. And your focus during this time, mom to mom, credible, on point. Like I know all the guys here. Cameron, Ben, and Steve are like mind blown. Krista wins the award for best focus of the year. No wonder you got to 7 figures. Okay.
Well, I had no other choice. I mean, the whole time I was doing these things, you know, of course my kids are my why, but I was thinking this isn't who I am. And I kept telling myself, this is a passage that somehow you got into, you have to go through, but this isn't where you're going to end up. This is not the end of your story. And it wasn't for money. And that's why I made that point, because I want your audience to know that too many people are just chasing money, and they think that that's the above all end all. That's the end game. It's like, you made 7 figures, you made 8 figures. That's it. End of story. Just look at the news and look at NFL players, look at celebrity movie stars. How many of those people end up in rehab or have a very bad ending? Money does not buy happiness, and I am the proof. So you have to go above and beyond. It's not for the money. It's so that I can wake up and I can buy my kids a meal. Okay.
Oh, and it's so much more than that. It's being exactly who you were created to be. And it's living out your passion and serving others. And that's why we're all here. And that's exactly why, you know, I do what I do. That's why Ben does what he does. That's why we're all here on this podcast today, to serve well and to inspire and empower others who are listening and who are checking in right now, today, and who will listen to this later on. So I'm just going to give people my contact info. It's actually right here on this little, thanks, Cameron. Thank you, Cameron. BridgetHom.me gets you on my calendar. You want to gain some direction to make decisions to make that destination yours, just reach out. I would absolutely love to chat with you. And so virtual coffee. Ben, I think, are you?
Yeah, I think I'm next. And thank you for Bridget. I love your energy. You've got some amazing energy. I'm not sure it's the first time you've heard that. Yeah, I think, and Krista, thank you for that deep share and keeping it real, because sometimes it can be surface level, but I think it's important that people identify with your story. It's incredible. And that's why I think for those of you that are out there that know that you are meant for more, whether it is that next position or starting your own thing, tapping into your purpose, tapping your intuition, stepping away from that external validation and into that internal validation is really powerful. You can learn more about me and my work at purposeup.com. And if you want to schedule a call with me, that's purposeup.com/call. And you owe it to yourself to not regret going to the grave knowing that you had stuff to give that you didn't give a shot at least giving. So we really want to thank you, Steve, and thank you, Cameron, for this wonderful platform and the work that you guys do. And it's great to be here with you, Krista and Bridget. You are amazing women.
Good stuff.
Thank you for this. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Thank you so much for giving it all to these folks. Audience, we want to hear from you, what you thought today. If you're watching this on replay, #replay, let us know. Steve is going to lead us out. We do this thing, we count down and we say crush it, because we want to leave you with an amazing week. Steve, take us out of here.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. First of all, you guys are amazing, and everyone laid it on the playing field, so to speak, and spoke from the heart. Love that. That's everything what we're all about here. So I know, Ben, you didn't get a chance to tell all your story. I highly recommend connect with Ben, connect with Krista, connect with Bridget, connect with us. We definitely want to help you and be a blessing to you. You guys probably saw I put a post out yesterday. I think it goes well in line with what Krista spoke about, what Bridget spoke about having a life's mission, a life's purpose. If you have a life's mission or a life's purpose and write it out, then you're never going to worry about money. You're never going to worry about accomplishing things, because if you're always working towards that life's purpose, that life's mission, that North Star, you will eventually, you'll be happy, you'll be content, you have a purpose, and the money will come. The money will come, the contentment will come. If you're always looking for that next, I don't know, the car, the house, or whatever, unfortunately, that's temporal. So you want to make sure you're working on something that's got very large vision, and that will help you a lot. And hopefully, if you could find a business opportunity tied to that, even better so. So anyway, I want to lead us out. We have a great show coming up next week. Cameron, do you know what our topic of our show is next week?
Yeah, absolutely. So episode number 42, everybody, coming up next week on Monday, how to go viral on LinkedIn. We're going to be talking about it. This show is all about networking. Today, we're talking about entrepreneurship. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to actually get that message as an entrepreneur out there. You have an amazing story like Krista, like Bridget, like Ben. How do you actually get that message out there? We're going to be talking about how to go viral on LinkedIn. Our panelists, Corey Warfield, Jason Coop, and Gretchen Fila will be on with us next week. So stay tuned for it. Steve, let's crush it.
Let's go ahead and crush it. So I'm going to count us down. And again, everyone, you have an incredible week. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crush it!
Have an amazing week, everybody. We will see you next week. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists and our amazing audience that make this show so much fun. You are the reason we show up. We want to be the light. You are the light for us. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. Thanks for attending. Thanks for showing up. We will see you next week. LinkedIn, we are going to fire up your Monday
with Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
I am Steve Spiro, the Master Connector.
Over the next hour of this Master Connection series, we will take a deep dive into the different ways to connect and network effectively.
See us and hear us right now. So LinkedIn, we are on here. We're getting ready.
Hear from experts along with Steve Spiro, who went from being shy and introverted to the Master Connector.